Hello, friends. Oh man, it feels good to be finally filming a video. It's been, I think, at least 2 weeks since I had filmed a video because I had my knee surgery. I thought I would be like, I'm going to film and get things edited and scheduled for an upload, and that just did not happen. And then even after the surgery, I thought, oh, hey, I'm home. The surgery wasn't as bad as we thought it would be, so I can film. No, the surgery was still very draining for my knee and just physically, especially since they had a hard time waking me up from the anesthesia. And then I guess I had a reaction to one of the medicines. Not really an allergic reaction, but just some kind of a reaction. I can go into that later. But so yeah, I was really drained and didn't feel like filming anything. So, but I feel better and well enough to film today, so I am excited. So I wanted to do a tag, and I was tagged by Scott and Becky from the Bookish Bryants, and the creator of this tag is Noah from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. I'll have their channels in the description box, so you can definitely check those out. And I will put the video for the tag that Becky and Scott did in the description box as well, so you can check that out and see what their answers were. It was very entertaining to watch, very enjoyable. So let's go ahead and get started. There are 9 questions, and number 10 is to tag some people. And I will say I am going to try to tag some people, so I will try to mention this video on like Instagram and Twitter, because I think some of the booktubers only do Instagram and not Twitter, and some do both, so we'll see. I don't really expect them to, because some of these are very big channels, so I would imagine they have things planned out for a while, but that's just me assuming things. I could be way wrong, but I thought it'd be fun and another way to get to know these big booktubers that are several people's favorites. So let's go ahead and get into the questions. And number 1, so I have them written down, is the oldest book from your life you still own. Now, it's interesting, when I saw the video that the Bookish Bryants tagged me, and I was starting to de-junk the basement where we keep storage, and some of them, one of the containers I went through had books in them that I've had since childhood that I have completely forgotten about, and I decided to bring them up here and put them at the very top of my bookcase, so if I ever want to reread them, I absolutely can. That's one of my tips for people ask other booktubers how they read so much. Read children's books. You'll definitely get to your goal because they're so much quicker to read. So you can definitely sneak some of these in. But the oldest one that I own would have to be this one that, I'm just getting these other ones out of the way. This one that I got from my aunt. This is The Night Before Christmas. As far as the author, it just says it's Modern Promotions / Publishers. I got this from my aunt for my very first Christmas, which means I was only 10 days old. So it just says, to me, to Christine from Aunt Diana for your first Christmas. So it's just the night before Christmas poem, and just with these older images, that this would be the oldest book that I own. And Ophelia is talking to me. Yes, baby. I don't know if she's realized I already fed her. I gave her a can of cat food. So anyway, so this would be the oldest one that I own. I did want to show, because these are definitely one of the older ones. Let me see. I do have them written down. Okay, so there's 2 more I want to show you. So in the stack, I'm just going to move 2 of these to the side because these will come up at a different question. But these other 2, my mom bought shortly before I was born, or bought them for me for my first Christmas or first birthday or something. And she's just read them to me for years, and we read them a lot. And you'll be able to tell they are well loved. One of them I will mention is Too Loose, the Chocolate Mousse. So this one just is that the baby is delivered. So as you can see, it's like, I mean, there's no cover and it's falling completely apart. I mean, and this back page is completely torn and it's taped. You can't really tell. But anyway, it is taped. And then the string's coming off, and so, yeah. I mean, it's completely separating. It's that loved. But it's about this baby that's delivered by a stork to mom and dad moose. And I think I've got things out of order now, but so it's just a moose family living in a moose world. And the moose that's delivered consists of chocolate. He is made out of chocolate. And he's finding out as he's trying to play with his moose friends or make friends, there's certain things that he cannot do because it kind of creates a hazard. So did I drop a page? I don't think so. Anyway, so that is Too Loose Chocolate Mousse by Stuart. I don't know how to say the last name. It's right there. But yeah, I remember reading this quite a bit. It kind of freaked me out a little bit as a kid, thinking that something could be born and made out of chocolate, and that I was lucky and relieved that I wasn't born made out of chocolate. So, but that was just my thinking at that time. The other one I want to show, and this has doodles in it. I've doodled in this book. Like, and when I say doodles, I mean scribbles. So as you can see, that's all scribbled. The back is all scribbled. I just dropped it. It's missing the main hardcover, but it is the cow and the elephant, and this is all scribbled on here. This has notes because it is a song, and it's just, I don't know, my mom and I we've read this so much that some of us, when we're having a bad day, will start to sing this. And we only do like the first verse because it's all that we can remember, because there are a lot of animals that this goes through. It's not only the cow and it's the cow and the elephant, and then there's a third animal. So like the cow and the elephant and the dog went down the river. And I will say the first one, and then it just changes. So it says, the cow and the elephant and the dog went down the river on a great big log. The cow said moo, the dog said rough, and the elephant sang along. So it's just similar to that. It just replaces, so like the next page would be, instead of a dog, it's a sheep. And then the object that they're riding down the river on changes, but other than that, it's pretty much the same throughout the book. But I loved it. So there's that one. So question number 2. First loved library book. This one was a little hard. I do remember going to the library, but I don't remember absolutely loving anything until later on in elementary school. And I loved the series so much. I remember having a poster of it hanging in my room at one point of this series, and that's the Babysitter's Club. I especially loved the Babysitter's Club mystery series. So the Babysitter's Club was first, and then the mystery series was kind of like a spin-off or add-on or something like that. Don't remember much because I don't really see them much anymore. But that was the one I absolutely loved, and I always wanted to go and check that out, see if the next one was in, and try and read the whole thing, which I know I did not read every book in that series, but that was one of my goals. So number 3, a book given to you. So this is the other 2 books that I had in my hand. So this one I will mention, and I've mentioned this one on my channel before, and that is The Spooky Old Tree by the Berenstain Bears and the Spooky Old Tree by Stan and Jan Berenstain. It just follows the bears as they go through this spooky old tree. I loved it, and I read this a ton with my mom, and this was gifted to me from my mom. I remember loving the Berenstain Bears, and this is actually starting to fall apart as well. So you can definitely tell it was well loved. The other book that was given to me that I wanted to mention that I hold dear in my heart is The Ivy Cottage. This is by E.J. Taylor. It's a Violet Pickles book. It was $1.59. It has it in the corner there. This was given to me. This is the only book I have that was gifted to me from my grandma. And this is my maternal grandma, so my mother's mother. She also wrote it, and that's kind of what we do. When we gift someone a book, we tend to write in it. And the date that she gifted this to me is February 3rd of 1989. And she wrote, "To my precious Christine, I hope you enjoy reading this book. I love you very much, Grandma." So it's just about this little girl named Violet. I think she's a doll, that kind of like a living doll. And the only reason I say that is because you could see from this picture, her hand is stitched and she has no fingers, so it's just like a mitten hand. So, gifted to me from my grandma. Let's see, number 4, a book recommended to you. I've had a ton of books recommended, but there's 2 that have been recommended the most, and these were both recommended to me by my mother. I have read them both and absolutely loved them. And that is, and I don't remember who the authors are, but I will try and link the book information below. And that the 2 of them are The Secret Life of Bees and Saving C.C. Honeycutt. So those are the 2 books. They are historical fiction. And I mean, they did make me a little uncomfortable because of how it did show how, especially I think it was The Secret Life of Bees. Now it's been several years since I've read them, but I think The Secret Life of Bees delves more into what it was like for Black women who had to work as like maids in the house, kind of as a slave and stuff like that. So it was uncomfortable. I do remember that. How accurate it was, I don't know, but it was uncomfortable to read and did give new insight into how people were treated, and it was it was uncomfortable. That's pretty much all I can really vocalize. It did make me uncomfortable. I still enjoyed the book and how it resolved. I had a particular favorite scene in it that if you've read the book, you will know, because it's the one that deals with the pie. So, yeah, that's all I will say. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's see, number 5, a buddy read text. So I read in December Don Quixote with Becky and Scott from the Bookish Bryants. Loved that book. And I am currently, well, I say currently because it's still January, but I have actually finished the book now. And that was reading Emma with Lexi from Alexandria Rosalind, and I'll have her channel below as well. And I just happened to finish it. I enjoyed it. I will definitely, it's definitely one that I will keep around and try to reread in the future. I listened to it via audiobook while reading the physical book, and that just elevated it to a new level for me, made it much more enjoyable, kind of brought some of the characters more to life. And it just was different experiencing that way than just trying to read it on page. So I definitely recommend doing that, especially with books that might be a little harder to read, like for me, classics with some of the older English. and older style writing. But absolutely loved that one. I think I gave that 4 stars. But that was my most recent buddy read. And I do not have any planned coming up at this time. I wouldn't mind doing another buddy read in the future. So let's see, number 6, book or books introduced to me in school. I don't remember any books being introduced to me back in elementary or junior high. High school, it was more classics. One, and the only one I remember being assigned to read was The Scarlet Letter. It was hard to read. It was uncomfortable. I did not understand a lot of it. You know, I'm a high schooler with undiagnosed autism at the time, so I'm really struggling with the book. But I still remember enjoying it on some level, and I definitely want to reread it and maybe listen to it along with the audiobook to see if I can understand more of it. I do know that there's definite triggers because we watched the video in high school too, for rape or sexual assault, definitely rape, death of a child, and that's pretty much all I can remember. I might be confusing that with Tess of the Dubervilles. Both of those were assigned readings in high school, so those were definitely introduced, and they were both hard. I do know that they both deal with sexual stuff, whether it's assault, rape, promiscuous women, or affairs and being judged because they're women that are doing that or were taken advantage of. So I definitely want to read them more now, being at the age I am, with a little bit more understanding of things, and again with the audiobook to try and have a different experience and see if I still enjoy them. It's hard to say, but enjoy this overall story on some levels. So we'll see. The next question is a genre. Basically is a genre or type of fiction that inspires nostalgia. For me, that is there's 3: mystery, thriller, and paranormal. Those 3 are very comforting to me, even though the story may be very tense, but I thoroughly enjoy those. I remember preferring, like, back to the Babysitter's Club, I preferred the Babysitter's Mystery over the Babysitter's Club. So, or the Babysitter's Club Mystery. Anyway, I preferred the mystery version over the regular version. The 2 or 3 that I read of Nancy Drew, I liked. Fear Street, obviously, I've mentioned that on my video. And the few Goosebumps that I did let myself read, even though I felt guilty reading them, which I shouldn't have, but I did. I enjoyed those. So R.L. Stine, big. I will always enjoy R.L. Stine, and the Fear Street books are huge nostalgia for me. So, but let me make sure I'm not jumping to another. Yeah, so that kind of leads into the next question, which is literary work that inspires nostalgia. So the genre, like I said, is the mystery, paranormal, thriller. Fear Street by R.L. Stine is a big literary work that inspires nostalgia. The other one is work by Lois Duncan. These are the only ones I have of hers. I would like to get more of hers, or all of her kind of thriller mystery ones. So I have The Third Eye, A Gift of Magic, Summer of Fear, Ransom, loved that. Absolutely loved Gallows Hill. And I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't have, which I wish I had it, I'm going to have to look for it, is Killing Mr. Griffin, which that's where high school students end up killing one of their teachers. So, yeah. So I definitely lean towards the paranormal murder, mystery, thriller aspects. Love those. So let's see. Number 9. Spiritual text that inspires nostalgia. So this one was a little harder for me to think of. The only one that I know that can come to my mind is because I wasn't really big into reading spiritual texts when I was little. It just wasn't big in my household. We did read scriptures, so the Bible and New Testament, Old Testament, that type of a thing. The one I remember reading and loved it is and I can't remember the title of it because it's been so long and obviously I don't have them anymore. But there were two of them that I had. One was for the Old Testament and one was for the New Testament. And they were children's versions of those. And they were like graphic novels. So they took the Old Testament and the New Testament and kind of put them into a graphic novel form. And you would read about Joseph, like the being sold into Egypt. See, I don't know much about about what's in the Bible. I really want to more, but anyway. Sometimes I feel really stupid not knowing this stuff. Anyway, but there were other stories, and I remember not reading the words, but looking at the pictures, and seeing the king surrounded with like kind of like a tiger or a cheetah as a pet. In one of the pictures, that's the one that stands out to me the most. So yeah, so it was basically, again, the Old Testament and the New Testament. They were two separate books, and they were made for children, and they were those books in graphic novel form. If I can find an image of them, I'll stick them kind of like maybe up here at some point during this whole rambling that I just did. But that's it. Those are all the questions for the nostalgia tag. Now, number 10 for this tag is to tag some other creators. There, as I said, there are some larger creators. There's some smaller ones that I'm going to tag, and I'll try and tag them so that they are aware through Instagram and Twitter once this video goes up, so that they are aware that they're tagged. I am not saying that they have to do the tag, but it'd be awesome, and I think a great way to get to know them a little bit more. So there are 10. I'm actually going to say 11. Actually 12. So one of them is a creator with her wife, and I think it'd be fun to see her wife's response to some of these, if she has answers to some of these as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So the one I do not have written down is, I gotta get my phone and tell you because I always blank. She is I love her, like the confidence that she gives off in her videos. I think her name's Noelle. Yes, Noelle Gallagher. So I will try and tag her somehow. She's on Instagram. So I definitely want to see her response to these. The other booktubers would be Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, Lexi from Alexandria Rosalind, Princess from Castle Library, Ashleigh from A Frolic Through Fiction, Becca from Becca and the Books. And there's more creators I would like to tag, but I think I'm doing probably more than enough. Chelsea from Chelsea Palmer, Holly from A Novel Curiosity, Maddi from Books with Maddi, Kaylani from Kaylani Simply Me, and then the one creator that I would like to see her do this with her wife is Lianne from Literary Diversions, and she calls her wife her lovely wife Helen. So I would like to see, if at all possible, lovely wife Helen answer these as well. Now I am probably far-fetched in mentioning several of these booktubers, but I'm gonna try. I mean, you never know unless you try, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I will link their channels below. If you have not heard of any of these creators, definitely check them out. They are well worth checking out. Their content is wonderful. Their personalities are just awesome. They are fun to watch. They do fun content. They're just awesome. So Not only I'll have their channels below, as well as Noah's from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. I'll have his channel linked below, as well as I highly also recommend, if you have not, checking out Becky and Scott from the Bookish Bryants. Love their content as well. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And until next time, please stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.